I've never been the jealous type, I really haven't. My wife, Lisa, always seemed like the kind of woman who knew what she wanted, confident, sometimes a little bitchy but generally charming. We'd been married for 5 years, and if you asked me before all this mess, I'd say we had a good life. Not perfect, but what marriage is. But lately, things started feeling off. Little things. She'd be more distant, distracted, sometimes even defensive when I'd ask her about her day. She'd brush me off, say she was stressed about work or some stupid excuse, but I noticed her phone more often, hiding it when I walked into the room. I'd catch her glancing at her messages quick, her eyes darting away fast if I got close. The biggest sign, though, was her sudden obsession with her phone. She'd take it to the bathroom, lock herself in, stay up late texting. I'd ask her what was going on, and she'd act like I was overly paranoid or insecure. That's when I started feeling like maybe I was just imagining things. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that she was hiding something. Still, I kept telling myself, I was just paranoid. Maybe I was overthinking it. I mean, we weren't perfect, but I loved her and I didn't want to believe the worst. Then one day, everything changed. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I had a rare free hour between meetings, and I decided to surprise her at her office. We'd been working on her thesis lately. She's finishing her master's, and I thought maybe I could give her some moral support or just check in with her. I parked a little behind her building, thinking I'd wait in the car and surprise her, but I was early. So I figured I'd wait until she texted me that she was done. I got out of the car and wandered closer to her office, just to peek in, see her maybe reviewing some notes or talking to her colleagues. That's when I saw her. She was there in his office and she wasn't alone. The guy, I knew him, Dr. Carter, her graduate school professor, the one she always said was a mentor, a good guy. But right then I saw her sitting on his desk, legs crossed, leaning in clothes, and their faces were way too intimate. His hand was on her thigh and she was laughing, but it wasn't a friendly laugh. It was a flirt. I could see it all as clear as day, her hair falling over her shoulder, the way she was touching him, the way he was looking at her like she was the only woman in the world. My stomach sank. I froze. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. That's when I realized my wife, the woman I thought I knew, was cheating on me with someone I'd always trusted. I backed away slowly, my head spinning. I wanted to run, to yell, to do something, anything. But I just stood there watching. The worst part, she looked so comfortable, so at ease, like this was just another day for her. I knew I shouldn't have been spying, but I couldn't tear myself away. I kept thinking about everything we'd been through, all the plans we had, the future I thought we were building. And now it was crashing down around me, all thanks to her. I felt heat rising in my chest, anger, betrayal, heartbreak, all mixed into one. I knew I had to confront her, but I didn't know how. I stayed there, hidden behind a pillar, watching her walk out of his office a little later, smoothing her skirt like nothing had happened. I felt like my world was shattering, and I wasn't sure if I could put it back together. I had more questions than answers. What was I even supposed to do now? I waited until she was out of sight, then I quietly slipped back to my car. My heart was pounding so loud I thought everyone around could hear it. I kept replaying what I saw over and over. The way she laughed, the way he touched her. I kept asking myself, how could she do this? How could she pretend everything was fine when she was sneaking around, lying to my face? I was angry, but mostly I felt crushed. That moment watching her with him, it felt like my entire world had just turned upside down. I sat in the driver's seat trying to breathe. My hands were clenched into fists, and I felt my jaw tighten. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind. I always thought we had a good thing, that maybe we had our issues but nothing serious enough to betray each other. Like this, I kept asking myself, what did I do wrong? Was I not enough? Or was she just the kind of woman who needed to cheat to feel alive? I didn't know. All I knew was I needed to confront her, but I also knew I wanted to catch her off guard. I needed answers. When I finally got home, it was late. I made sure she was asleep before I even considered talking to her. I stayed up all night planning what to say. I couldn't just accuse her without proof, so I decided I would wait for her to come home the next day and get everything out in the open. I needed to hear her lie, then call her out on it. I kept telling myself I'd be calm, rational, but inside I was seething. My mind was racing with thoughts of betrayal, of all the times I had been there for her, and how she repaid me with some sick affair. The next morning I woke up early, my stomach twisted in knots. She was still asleep when I left the house to get some coffee. I wanted to see her reaction when I brought it up, if she even cared about that. When she finally woke up, she was already acting weird. She was avoiding my eyes, brushing off my questions, and giving me that overly sweet, dismissive smile she'd perfected. I knew she was hiding something. I could see it in her face. I decided I wasn't going to wait anymore. I told her I knew everything. I told her I saw her with Dr. Carter. Her reaction was instant. She scoffed, rolled her eyes, and then, oh, you should have seen the way she lied. She said I was crazy, said I was imagining things. She threw out some excuse about how I was overreacting, that maybe I'd misunderstood or that I was paranoid because I didn't want to believe she was capable of cheating. She kept calling me insecure, trying to make me feel guilty for even thinking she'd do something like that. I was furious. How could she deny it when I'd seen her with my own eyes? But she kept spinning her web of lies, saying I was just jealous and that I had no right to accuse her like that. That's when I knew she was a master manipulator. She's good at twisting everything around so that she's the victim. That entire day, I felt like I was spinning in this terrible fog. I couldn't focus, couldn't talk to anyone without wanting to scream. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and yet I kept asking myself, was there any way to fix this? Maybe she was just having some stupid fling, some reckless mistake. Or maybe she was just bored and wanted to see if she still could get away with it. Whatever it was, I knew I had to decide what to do next. But for now, I just kept replaying that image in my mind, wondering how I could have been so blind, so stupid. How did I miss the signs? And more than anything, I kept feeling the ache of knowing that someone I loved, trusted, had looked at me like I was nothing in comparison to whoever she was with that day. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there, staring at the ceiling, trying to make sense of it all. Because suddenly all the little things clicked into place. Her secretive phone habits, her dismissiveness, her excuses. It all added up. The woman I married, the woman I thought I knew, had been lying to my face. And I realized I could either accept this betrayal or fight back. I wasn't sure yet what I was going to do, but I knew one thing for certain. My trust was shattered, and her lies had created a chasm that I didn't think I could ever cross again. The next few days were a blur. I went from feeling numb to boiling with rage, then back to confusion. Every time I saw her, her fake smile made me want to scream. She kept spinning her stories, acting as if I was the one overreacting, the one making shit up in my head. But I knew better. I had seen enough, and I wasn't going to let her gaslight me into believing I was crazy. The worst part was watching her lie so effortlessly, like she didn't care about the damage she was doing. I could tell she enjoyed it, like she got a sick kick out of playing me for a fool. One night, I caught her texting again. It was late, and I was pretending to be asleep when I saw her sneak her phone out from under her pillow. I couldn't help myself. I grabbed her wrist before she could hide it completely. Her reaction was instant. She froze, eyes wide with that bitchy smirk she always wore when she was trying to deceive me. "What are you doing?" she snapped. I held her firmly, and for a moment I just looked at her. I wanted to see her squirm. I wanted her to break, to admit everything. Instead, she kept up the act, denying outright, lying through her teeth. That's when I decided I had to do something different. I couldn't keep going around in circles with her. I needed proof, real proof, the kind she couldn't spin her way out of, so I started digging. I checked her email, her social media accounts, anything that might give me some clarity. I wasn't some obsessive, but I had to know how deep this went. And what I found, it was worse than I'd imagined. She'd been seeing him behind my back for months, possibly even longer. There were messages, flirty, suggestive, downright disgusting at times. She even had plans to meet him again that very weekend, right under my nose. At that moment, I felt my entire world shattering again. Only this time with more clarity. She had been lying, cheating, sneaking around in ways I never thought possible. I kept asking myself, how did I miss all this? How did I not see the signs? The woman I loved, the woman I married, was actively betraying me with someone who was supposed to be just a mentor, a teacher. I thought she was just stressed or maybe bored, but no, she was actively planning her affairs behind my back. My stomach knotted up. I felt sick. Every memory, every laugh, every moment of trust was tainted now. I couldn't look at her the same way. That night I sat in my living room, laptop open, tears stinging my eyes. I knew I couldn't pretend anymore. I needed to confront her, but I also knew there was no way to do this calmly, at least not right now. I thought about what I'd say, how I'd lay it all out. I had all the evidence, everything I needed. But part of me just wanted to break down. I'd spent so long trying to be the good guy, trying to keep everything together, and now I realized I was just a fool. She had played me, she'd used my trust as a game, and I was the one left bleeding. I decided I would call her out the next day, face to face. No more hiding, no more pretending I didn't know. I wanted her to see how much she'd hurt me, how deeply her lies cut. But as I lay there in the dark, I wondered how I'd ever feel normal again. My mind kept circling around the same questions. Was I going to forgive her? Could I ever trust her again? Or was this the end of everything I thought we had? I didn't have answers yet, but I knew one thing: this wasn't going to be easy. This betrayal had changed everything, and I had no idea how to move forward, but I was damn sure I wasn't going to let her get away with it. The morning after was like walking through a fog. I woke up feeling heavy, like I'd been hit by a truck. My mind kept circling the same thoughts: her lies, the messages I found, the betrayal. I knew I needed to confront her, but I also knew I had to prepare myself for whatever she threw back at me. I decided I wouldn't give her the satisfaction of seeing me break right away. Instead, I planned to stay calm, collected, though inside I was anything but. She was already up when I got home from work, acting like nothing was wrong. She was brushing her hair, humming some stupid tune, and I could see the fake smile pasted on her face. My blood boiled. I took a deep breath, walked right up to her and said, "We need to talk, now." Her eyes flickered for a second, then she put on that innocent mask and said, "What's wrong, honey? Did I forget something?" I didn't bother to hide the anger in my voice. I laid out everything I'd found: her secret messages, her plans, her lies. I told her I knew about her affair with Dr. Carter, how long it had been going on, and how I'd seen her sitting on his desk like a slut. Her reaction was classic. She scoffed, rolled her eyes, and told me I was crazy, a jealous, insecure loser who couldn't handle her success. She called me jealous, said I was paranoid, and that I was making all this up in my head. I felt my fists clench. I could see her trying to gaslight me, trying to make me doubt what I saw with my own eyes. That's when I snapped. I told her I had the proof, that I was done playing her stupid game. I said I couldn't believe she'd stoop so low, pretending to be this innocent victim while she was out screwing her professor behind my back. I told her I was done with her lies, that I wanted her out of my life if she thought she could get away with this. Her face twisted into that bitchy glare she always pulled when she was cornered. She started screaming, saying I was overreacting, that I was a jealous psycho who didn't deserve her. She told me I was just insecure because I wasn't good enough in bed, that's why she had to cheat, that I was nothing. Her words cut deeper than I thought possible. I had always tried to be the good guy to keep her happy, and this is how she repaid me, by calling me worthless. I was furious, but I held it in. I told her she was a lying, cheating bitch and that she needed to leave my house. That day I felt like I was on the edge of losing it. I was trembling, angry, broken all at once. My chest hurt from holding back tears and rage. But I also felt a strange sense of relief. Finally, I knew the truth. I didn't have to wonder anymore. I had proof. I tried to stay calm, even as she packed her things, hurling insults and snide comments about how I'd never make her happy, how she never loved me, and how she'd find someone better. Those words hit me hard, more than I wanted to admit. As she walked out that door, I sat there for a long moment, staring at the empty space she left behind. I felt empty, betrayed, and furious at the same time. I kept thinking about all the things I should have seen, all the signs I ignored, how I was so blind, so naive. I thought about the future we'd planned, the life I thought we were building, and I wondered how I was going to pick up the pieces. But deep down, I knew this was just the beginning. The real pain was yet to come, because once the betrayal is out in the open, nothing can stay the same. Everything changes, and I had no idea if I'd come out of this better or broken beyond repair. The days after she left felt like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. The house was eerily quiet, and every corner reminded me of her. Her perfume on the pillow, her clothes still hanging in the closet, her stupid shit left scattered around. I kept staring at everything, trying to piece together how she could do this to me, how someone I loved and trusted could betray me so completely. It's one thing to suspect, but to see it with my own eyes, that changed everything. I didn't sleep much those nights, just replayed the confrontation over and over in my head, trying to figure out what I did wrong, where I went wrong. I remember sitting on the couch, staring at my phone, debating whether I should call her, text her, or just forget her entirely. Part of me wanted to beg her to come back, to deny everything. The other part knew I had to face the harsh truth, that she was a liar and a cheat, and I was better off without her. I felt like I was suffocating, trapped in a mix of rage and heartbreak. I kept thinking about the way she lied, how she spun her bullshit to make me doubt myself, all while she was out with her professor, probably getting fucked. It made me feel sick. Then I decided I needed some closure. I couldn't keep living in this limbo, wondering if she was going to come back and pretend everything was okay. I reached out to a lawyer, thinking about what my options were. I needed to protect myself legally, and I wanted to know what I could do to end this mess as cleanly as possible. I also started reaching out to a few friends, trying to keep my head straight. It helped that they told me to get rid of her, to cut her out completely, because any contact would just keep me hanging on to a false hope. But honestly, I was in shock. It's like my world had been turned upside down, and I didn't know which way was up. One thing that kept bothering me was the fact that she was still lying to everyone. She told her friends she was taking some time for herself, and she acted like I was the crazy one. She painted herself as the victim, saying I was controlling and insecure. I knew she was doing this because she wanted to save face, to avoid admitting she'd been caught in her lies. But I didn't care anymore about what she told her friends. What mattered was how I felt: betrayed, humiliated, and filled with rage. I kept telling myself I'd never let her use me like that again, that I'd rebuild myself no matter how much it hurt. I also started going through all the memories, all the moments I thought were real: her smile, her laugh, the way she used to look at me. And now I saw it all as a lie. I kept asking myself why I didn't see it coming. Why did I let her manipulate me? The pain was sharp. It was like losing a part of myself. I felt like a fool for trusting her, for believing she loved me. It's strange how someone you think you know so well can turn out to be a stranger in the end. But even as I felt all this pain, a small part of me was angry, angrier than I've ever been. Angry at her for ruining everything, for cheating and lying and making a fool out of me. Angry at myself for not seeing the signs earlier. And angry that I was left picking up the pieces of a life I thought was secure. I knew I had to get out of this funk, though. I started making plans, getting a new apartment, talking to a therapist, even thinking about what I'd say if I ever saw her again. Because I wasn't going to let her break me completely, not without a fight. I had to find a way to move on, even if it felt impossible right then. The betrayal had cut deep, but I was determined not to let her win. I just had to hold on long enough to figure out what comes next. It's been a few weeks since she left, and honestly, I feel like I'm only just starting to breathe again. The house still feels empty, but at least now it's bearable. I've moved out of the bedroom, found a place of my own, and started working on rebuilding what I can of my life. The hardest part was accepting that the woman I loved and trusted had lied so blatantly, cheated, manipulated, and basically dismantled everything we had. But in some strange way, I also realized I was stronger than I thought. That betrayal didn't define me, even if it shattered my world for a while. Looking back, I wish I could say I handled everything perfectly, but I didn't. I was angry, broken, and sometimes I still am. The thing is, I learned you don't survive betrayal by pretending it doesn't hurt. You gotta feel it, confront it, and decide what kind of person you want to be after. I've chosen to move forward not because I think what she did was okay, but because I refuse to let her ruin me entirely. I've been to therapy, talked to friends, started exercising, and even found some new hobbies. Slowly, I'm healing, one day at a time. What I want to say to anyone reading this who might be going through something similar is this: Trust is fragile, and once it's broken, it's almost impossible to fix. But you can rebuild yourself piece by piece. Don't let her, anyone, make you feel like you're worthless, because you're not. You're better than that. The betrayal is a reflection of their character, not yours. And at the end of the day, what matters most is your own happiness and integrity. It's okay to be hurt, to feel angry, to cry. It's part of the process. Just don't stay there forever. I've learned that revenge isn't about hurting her back, though I admit the fantasy of making her feel guilty or regret what she did crossed my mind. Real revenge, I've realized, is moving on, living well, and proving to myself that I don't need her to be whole. I don't need her to validate me. I am enough. She lost her chance with me, and the best thing I can do now is keep going, keep growing, and never let her lie and cheat define my worth. So, to anyone out there feeling broken, trust me. Whatever you've lost, whatever lies have been told, you can rebuild. You can find happiness again. Maybe it won't be with her, maybe it won't be the same as before, but it will be yours. And that's what matters. Life goes on even after betrayal. You just have to find your strength and decide what kind of story you want to tell yourself tomorrow.